March is reading month, and one of the most prolific children's authors from right here close to home in Greater West Bloomfield is also one of its biggest TV stars. Mike McKinstry, you've seen him on our channel and others like the Discovery Channel on his show, The Bassquatch Hunter, Fish Out of Water, but he's also the author of The Adventures of Squatch, and he joins us now to tell us more about this great story on The Splash Live. Mike, thank you so much for being with us.
Hey, thank you for having me again. I love coming on here.
Yeah, happy to have you on to talk about this. We're in the month of March. March is reading month. We're hoping to get more kids to build a love of reading, something we know is really critical to them building their education and becoming well-rounded young adults later on as they go through their childhood. But from your point of view, you're a fisherman, you're a TV host and producer. You started a TV show to go through other people's professional lives and bring them into your love of fishing. But when did that transition to, I want to help the kids learn to love fishing and the outdoors, and turn that into a book?
Yeah, so and this is probably my favorite question about my career, to be honest with you. It's my favorite part of my career is working with the kids and spreading the message. And what started happening was our episodes are so unique and so different. And, you know, we were featuring WWE wrestlers and monster truck drivers and figure skaters and some amazing just people with incredible backgrounds. And it was reaching out to a lot of families. And I started noticing through all the kids camps that I do and all the stuff through West Bloomfield kids camps and stuff, I was noticing a lot of my audience was kids. I had a lot of young kids that would be like, oh my gosh, I watch your YouTube channel. I love your show. We watch it as a family. And they started recognizing like a lot of the parts of my show. And I had this, light bulb moment where I was like, well, how can I do something that's specifically for the kids? I want them to get the messages of the show, even if they're not watching the show, or a secondary, message from the show. And that's where the book came from, is the books are all based off individual episodes of the show. So each book follows along our character, Squatch, and he meets new people and tries new things, and they're all based off real characters of the real episodes of the show.
And so how do you tailor that to kids in this sense? Because you got to keep their attention, you want to build their interest, and it's a lot different to tell those stories than adults who see these things that you do on your TV show and think, this is cool because I've never explored that sort of career path. How do you tailor it to children?
So the biggest way that I adjusted for the children's books was, so the TV show is visual. You can see it. So the children's books not being visual, it's a story. I wanted to make sure I did the best I could with the illustrations. And one of my really good friends and, former resident of the area here too, he's an incredible artist, Mr. Josh Ball. And when we first started talking about the books, I told him, I was like, these illustrations are so important because even if you can't read, I want you to see the story. You know what I mean? Like, this is a visual representation of the story. So part of it was the illustrations. It's a huge part of it. So, I have our first book right here, too. So as you can see, the illustrations, let's turn to a random page here. The illustrations are incredible. Whoops. Let's get this open here. Sorry. So the illustrations are incredible, and it really brings the kids like firsthand into the experience. The other part was the storytelling. I wanted to make sure that the book is interactive. So when I'm doing these book readings in public, it's always fun for me to see where the kids interact differently to different pages. But there's always interaction. There's always energy. They're always feeding off of the story. They're getting excited. They're laughing. They're, like you hear them gasp when something big happens. And that's what the story's all about, is just getting them engaged and having fun. And, the whole story, just like our show, is based off meeting new people that are different than you, trying new things, looking for adventure, and, of course, chasing your dreams to do whatever makes you happy in life. And every book has that. One special thing, too, I will say that really brings the kids in, and the very last page of every single book we have, there is a journal entry from our character, from Squatch, that tells you how he felt that day, which is right there, the Seth's journal. It tells you all about what he felt that day, but then the next page gives the kids an opportunity to fill in their own journal entry and answer some questions based on their favorite adventures and who they like to hang out with the most and, what they want to do one day. So getting the kids involved into the story and placing themselves in that position really empowers them to go out and try something different and try something new and, meet new people.
And it gets them out in the adventure, it gets them reading, it has them off of their devices and thinking about a life that with a little bit more adventure, which is something that seems to be a bit of a lost art in childhood in
Yeah.
modern days. Mike McKinstry is with us. He's a children's book author of the Adventures of Sasquatch series. He's also the host of the Bassquatch Hunter Fish Out of Water, which you can see on the Discovery Channel, and you've even seen right here on Civic Center TV and listened on 89.3 Lakes FM. Not only, Mike, are you building a love of reading for these kids through these fun stories that take them through different walks of life and some interesting topics, but you're also inspiring with them a love of nature. Why is that important to you also, to not only bring them into the books, but bring them into the great outdoors?
It's extremely important to me. So I wouldn't be in this career if it wasn't for my parents always inspiring me to get outside. I remember when I was a kid, this is a different time. This was, early 90s. But my parents would say, "Do you have homework?" And I'd be like, "No." They're like, "Get out of the house." Like go outside. We didn't have social media or internet, or, we didn't have cell phones. There wasn't a culture of electronics back then. It was adventure. It was get outside and build a fort and go ride a bike. And that's what got me into this career in the first place. Is fishing was always my escape when I was a kid. It was something I could do by myself or with friends, and it really didn't matter. It was just always a different experience. There's a really cool thing I say a lot in my speeches, where you could go to the same lake 10 days in a row and have 10 different experiences. And I feel the same way about the outdoors in general. You could go on a walking path or go, on an adventure for the same place 10 days in a row and have 10 completely unique experiences, and you never know what could happen out of them. So getting kids outside is extremely important, because outside is the wondrous unknown. You never know what you're going to find or what you're going to get inspired to do. And, it gives you time to think, gives you time to, process things that you might be going through, but also gives you time to experience the beauty we have all around us. And it's so important to me. Conservation is a big part of what I do as well. And making sure our parks, live on, and making sure our waterways stay clean and live on. And if we don't teach our kids to do that from the start, then we won't have that in the future. So it's extremely important. On that note, too, I also have our new coloring book that just came out. The last page of our coloring book is actually a scavenger hunt right here. I know it's a little blurry on the camera, but it's a scavenger hunt where it gets kids to go outside and try to find items in the outdoors to check off the list. So when you're done doing the adventure coloring book, then you can get out and go find your own adventure while you're looking for stuff in the book too. So that it is a huge mission of ours to, not just entertain people with our show or inspire them to go do new things, but also get outside and make your own adventures too. And, hang out with your best friend or your family member or your dog or whatever you want, and just get outdoors.
He is the host and the producer of the Bassquatch Hunter Fish Out of Water on Discovery Channel and YouTube and the Pursuit Channel, as well as here on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. He's also the author of the series, The Adventures of Sasquatch. Mike McKinstry is with us on the Splash Live. And as you're writing this children's book, it's I'd imagine difficult as an adult to imagine your childhood, try to filter these stories into the gaze of a child to get them interested in the stories you're telling. But you have the benefit of doing a lot of work out in the community, especially over the summers with West Bloomfield Parks and other organizations where you are interfacing with hundreds of kids. So how did those experiences help you mold these stories to be even more of something that captures the attention and ultimately brings those lessons close to home to these children?
Yeah, it's actually a huge part of it. So working at the kids' camps, this is my 7th year, I believe, helping out with all the fishing camps at West Bloomfield. And, we get to work with thousands of kids and talking to them about fishing and seeing them light up with their first fish. A lot of these elements are in our stories. They're actually in the episodes too. And some of them are natural because they just happen. And some are, I collect from stories that I hear and see how kids react to stories. And, watching a kid catch their first fish and how exciting it is, we definitely, translated that into the book, where our character Sasquatch teaches new people how to catch fish, and their excitement, the way they light up, and their reactions are very similar to a lot of the reactions of the kids that I see catch a first fish. It's also important because I read these books at those events too. So when I hear feedback and what people liked about the books, and I always do like a fun Q&A at the end and ask people what they learned and what they took away from the books. And that helps me mold the next story for the next book, and, so on and so forth. So I feel like our books get better as they go because of the feedback from the kids. But the experiences with them every year always, kind of molds what we do with the show in general. My target audience is families in general for everything I do. The show, the books, or the products, anything we have with our brand, it's always family oriented and family based because I don't want kids to be inspired or adults to be inspired individually. I want the collective whole to be inspired. And, I started this career in my 30s and, I got inspired in my 30s to quit my job and just do this for a living. And I want to inspire people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, or, teenagers or, as any age group. I want them to go out and go, you know what? I can do that too. If this fisherman can learn how to drive a monster truck and the monster truck driver can learn how to fish, I can do both of those too. And then when they read the books, if Seth Squatch learns to not be afraid of humans and meet people different than him, maybe I can do that too. And that's kind of the overall mission that we get from all the kids' camps and everything we do together.
It all goes back to one of the great elements of life, adventure. And Seth Squatch has been on so many of those adventures over the years, Mike, and now he's going on even more. What's next for Seth Squatch?
So like I said, we just released the coloring book and activity book that came out a few weeks ago. That's something I was extremely excited about because it covers all ages. It spreads through everything. The adults, I've gotten feedback from adults that color it. So that was a huge hit for us. Our next step is we have book number 4 we're working on right now, where our character Seth Squatch meets a country singer that we filmed with that was on The Voice a couple years ago. And they're all based off real characters. So every character in our book is based off a real person or a real experience. So the next book we're working on comes out sometime this year. It takes about 4 or 5 months to do these books. They're very detailed, and my artist is so incredible, and it just takes them quite a while to draw these by hand. So the next book is coming out this year, and then we have some surprises coming out later in the year as well that we're working on, and hopefully, knock on something, hopefully we can get them out by the end of the year.
Knocking on the desk. It is made of wood,
Yep.
so that does help in this scenario. Mike McKinstry with us, the Bassquatch Hunter. You can find more information about the TV show and the adventures of Seth Squatch on BassquatchHunter.com. Mike, before we let you go, I asked you about where Seth Squatch is going next. We see the pictures on Instagram at the Bassquatch Hunter of your adventures getting ready for your new season coming up. Give us a little bit of a tease. Where are some of the places you're going in this upcoming season?
Oh, wow. So this season is absolutely amazing. I can't help but smile when I bring it up even because I can't believe what we're airing this year. So starting in July of this year, and these episodes will air all the way till next July. We have 12 months of airtime now. We have adventures that take us to the Atlanta Braves Major League Baseball team. I got to be a pitcher for a day and hit some pretty amazing fastballs into the outfield. We got to work with the top NHL player in the NHL right now, do a great hockey episode with some Detroit Red Wings and some other players involved. We got to do a LPGA golfer, this legend. She's incredible. We got to do some incredible stuff this year. We have our own Oakland County executive was a guest on the show. We got to show off some great things here in Oakland County. This episode or this season is just absolutely incredible. We have farming technology. There's just such a vast array of incredible adventures this year. It's our biggest season yet, our biggest guests yet, some of our most amazing adventures, and I can't wait to see where we go from here. But you do not want to miss this season. Every episode has something incredibly unique to offer. It'll be a lot of fun. I can't wait. We'll start putting out trailers and teasers and bloopers in about a month.
We'll be looking out for those. We'll be excited for your new season coming up. The biggest season yet of the Bassquatch Hunter. You can follow along on their Instagram page at the Bassquatch Hunter or find them on BassquatchHunter.com. Mike, thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.